Do we do that?
Howdy doody, everybody. um, we are here today, Rena and I, and we are talking about being marketers, what it takes,
Oh,
all the things, and all this stuff. If you're joining us today, chime in. If you're a marketer, you will get some of this stuff. If you're a beginner marketer, you'll learn some stuff. If you're a business owner, it's for you too. So you can learn all the things and the stuff that we do and what makes a good marketer in our humble opinion. Now, I think first we have to define who.
well, maybe we could introduce ourselves
Oh, I
first.
suppose.
We didn't.
Um,
We didn't
I'm
do
Pip.
that this time. And
Pip, Seymour Digital Media. Oh, look, wait, watch this. And this is Rena Little.
Rena from Rena Little from Little Works Indie Media. All
Right?
right, so we are here to talk about what it takes to be a marketer, and we had such a great conversation on Tuesday, and hopefully some of these things will ring true. And if you're out there having a great time doing the 4-hour work week and everything's flowing beautifully, we sure want to hear from you in the comments below, because I
4
think our
hour.
experience, yeah, exactly, 4-hour work week. Have you not read that book?
I have it. Yes. I still want to. That guy did a whole bunch of advertising to figure out which was the best title. He did Google
Yes,
ads, and
he
that's
would,
how.
because you have, yes. Oh, he did he? Okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Well, it's a great way to test headlines, and we should be testing headlines for all of our ads that we do. I find that very helpful. So that would make sense. Oh, I'm going to keep that in my back pocket for a bit. But okay, jump in because we've had a fairly uh, learning curve in some ways, I think, Pip, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, so I think okay, so first let's okay, so there's a difference. We were talking about this, and there's a huge difference between owning your own marketing business and being like a specific type of marketer and being a corporate marketer. Now, people
Yeah.
who are from corporate who come in, who I said this too when we met. Like I've had lots of people come to us who work at other companies that saying, "Oh, I was in marketing in corporate. Now I work for this other company."
Yeah.
So I kind of
Yeah.
know, but I don't know, right? And
Yeah.
it's
And also with large companies, usually it's about branding. And when you're a small business, usually it's about lead generation. So those two things often work quite different too. So it really depends on what kind of marketing you're doing too, not just the
mm,
role you have or the
yeah.
context that you're in. Yeah.
I'm gonna take off these headphones because they're making my you sound funny. So say hello.
Oh,
Oh,
hopefully
perfect. Can
it's
you hear
not
me?
my. Is that
No.
better?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
can
yeah.
hear you.
It was me, not you. That's always the story.
Okay, that's
Um,
nice.
so if you're looking for a career in marketing or you're interested in learning what it takes, boy, is this for you. Um, Most marketers fall into owning their own marketing business by accident. Rena, did you fall into marketing by accident? Can you hear me, Rena?
Um,
Yes. Can you hear me?
Sorry,
Oh,
I'm
all
having
good.
technical difficulty.
It's good. It's okay. You
Sorry.
look beautiful.
I missed that. Can you?
Oh,
I feel like there was a question.
there was a question there. Yes, you're traveling, and that's one thing about being a marketer is it does give you the ability to be area specific. What is That's weird.
Yeah, that's true. There are definitely we actually didn't talk about that on Tuesday. There are some definite advantages and benefits to being a marketer. One is, you do have a lot of different choices of contexts and types of businesses and types of marketing that you do, and you can move not too difficultly between some of those roles, which can give you a nice, you can sort of hone your interest or get into an industry that you like and really dive in. And if something's not working for you, then sometimes you can easily change that by just changing your context. And yes, the other thing is that if you are digital you can usually have a digital lifestyle. Oh my.
You can also work from home and have dogs.
Exactly. You can work from home, which everyone knows now that there are benefits and disadvantages to that aspect too.
So many, but we are talking about what it takes. So let's talk about this for a second. I come from a marketing background, so I have background working at newspapers, magazines, in Google Ads for a company, and then at an agency, and then I started out on my own. Now, why I tell you this is one of my favorite things about being a marketer. I'm not sure why
Yeah.
that's doing the echoey thing. Is that you?
I'm sorry. I can't get my headphones and it's an old computer, so it's probably me. Is it
It's all good.
terrible?
No, we'll
Let's see.
manage. So it's important to note that my favorite thing is going into businesses to learn about businesses. And I got to do that at a lot of my jobs in the newspaper and things like that. So walking into locations, that's how I learned I didn't want to own a coffee shop. Um, but so that's a really big bonus to the job. So you have to be inquisitive because you have to want to learn about a company. Um, that's I think my number one. What would your number one be, Rena?
Uh, my number one what? Because I kind of missed the first
Uh,
part because I was trying to connect again.
your number one trait or thing you need to be able to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Hi,
You
Glenna.
said flexibility. Did you say flexibility?
Maneuver. Did I
Okay,
say
mine
maneuver?
is definitely flexibility, which I think is kind of similar. You have to be able to be responsive and not reactive, and there is a big difference. So being flexible is, making sure that you're able to shift something when you notice that something isn't quite going right. And that's always going to be super important because what worked last week might not work this week, and what works with one client might not work with another client, just because they're different industries. So being flexible and really being able to learn from what you're doing and maneuver quickly is going to be super helpful. And I think that's kind of what you were getting at too. And then number two, because mine was so closely related to yours, I'm going to go into number two. Number two for me is making sure that you are asking for feedback from people and getting support from wherever you can. So sometimes that's mastermind, sometimes that's coaching, sometimes that's just informal,
Facebook
friendly
groups.
groups. Yeah, Facebook groups, definitely. That kind of stuff. Ask for help often, because when I feel like at first when I started business, I had a lot of imposter syndrome. So I didn't like to ask for help because I didn't want people to know that I was struggling with these issues. Now I realize that this is actually the shortcut to life, is asking for help. When you can put yourself out there, like being vulnerable for me is not about sharing all your day-to-day struggles and all of that personal stuff. It's more about, hey, I'm struggling with this issue. What have you got? Has anyone else experienced this? Does anyone have any ideas? That kind of thing. And then usually you'll never get a definitive idea. Usually you'll get 3 or 4 or 5 people chime in and give you some feedback, and then you can sit there and assess them and decide which ones you want to try, and then test out some new responses so that you can get to where you're going faster. Because the longer you sit with it and the more, like, we all have had that experience where we go online and look for solutions, and you'll get 100 solutions, and then you'll find out that they give you just enough information to realize that you still don't know what you're doing and that you're supposed to hire them, because most solution based things on the internet are actually marketing things. They're
Not
not
only
real.
that, some of them are a
Yeah,
lie, a downright lie. I will tell you.
yeah,
Okay, slight
or
side
outdated.
story.
Yeah.
Slight. It's very slight, but it. So I made habanero jelly once, and I researched online, and like people were wearing gloves, and I was like, I don't need gloves. I can do this. I didn't use a blender. I chopped it up. Yeah. The reason I'm telling you this story is because, well, after I did this, my hands started to burn, and they burned, and I could not go to bed. The only thing I could do was put my hands under a tap. Now you're probably wondering, why are you telling us this, Pip? This does not make any sense. And I forgot why. No, I'm just joking. It's because I searched online. And I will tell you, I put my fingers in everything. I put them in mustard. Nothing worked. So don't believe everything you read online. That's what I have to say. Rena's like, yeah, I've heard that story before, Pip. So I think the support system is huge. It's part
I'm
of why we
having
have the
technical
marketing group.
difficulties.
What? Uh-oh. She's looking at me, guys. But I think that's part of the reason
Sorry,
we have that's part of the reason we
I'm
have the
really
marketing group. What?
yes, yes, that is. That's why that's why I got involved because collaborating and crowdsourcing ideas is the most important, the most valuable thing for me.
Okay,
Oh,
that
someone
is
else talk about the story.
upper
What's
thigh.
the story?
Okay, love the habanero
Oh
stories,
no,
man.
you didn't hear that one? I'm not really sure.
But
Is that
we will.
maybe Wednesday happy hour?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you don't know, we do have a happy hour on Fridays. In the Facebook group, if you're not part of the Facebook group, Cyberpunk Geeks Marketing Mixer. But along with that, so I do tell people who are starting out in the industry. I have gotten on calls with people who want to interview people just to ask questions. And one of the most important things is loneliness. If you
Yeah,
are a marketer in this day and age, working for yourself or at a business and at home, you can feel very isolated. So you do need that support system. I think that's huge.
yeah, that's right.
I like that you're so agreeable. Um, okay, so the other things that you need resiliency, Glenna, you're always so funny and never too much information in my world. I like talking about pretty much everything that's interesting to me. But okay, so other things like the reason also you end up getting marketing friends is because you can't be an expert in everything. Like you cannot. There's so much. It used to be that marketers were the first jobs to go in a recession, right? Like it did because, companies were more concerned with sales, but the world has so changed. And if you don't have a marketer that's good in your back pocket to ask questions, to ask for help, like get opinions from, well, you're doing your business a disservice, right? Like you really want to have people that are hyper focused on this stuff. That's just
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. So, all right. So, what is your number two then?
you have to be able to fail forward. So
Oh, yeah.
you have, beside resilient, you have, like, honestly, it is so fast moving nowadays. And for example, Rena, you're a social media marketer mainly and do websites, right? Yes. Um,
Yes, yes.
and so that industry is really changing, right? Every minute
Yes.
we see Facebook layoffs, right? That affects what we're doing. It affects the systems we work in. um, you
Well,
know
yes, and it's more so, I just want to emphasize, it's more so the algorithm. They change the algorithm and everything changes with it. So, you know, and it's changed so much. I've been doing this since 2008, and and in those days there weren't even any business pages to have. And when they started the business page, they wanted to encourage the businesses to get on the business pages, so they made it super easy for people to make money off of the business pages. And then when they got enough onboarded, where we were all, and a lot of businesses were only on Facebook, they didn't have a website, they didn't do anything else. And then once they got everybody in place, they got everyone in place, they went and they squeezed that algorithm, and then it became a pay to play, and they did it just slowly by slowly over time. And then they did one giant one, I forgot when that was. 2016 or something like that, somewhere around that time. And then people moved to groups because groups were new. They were trying to encourage people to start using groups, so they make it easy to make sales in groups. And we're going to start seeing that too. The algorithm has shifted for groups a lot lately, and we're going
right.
to start
So
seeing that too.
we're still pretty
Yeah.
grassroots, to be honest. So this, I will tell
Yeah.
you, this Facebook group, if you don't know, everyone that's in here has pretty much been handpicked to be in here because they're amazing, awesome people. Like, I've gone out of my way. It's either friends, colleagues, people we work with. They're amazing people that come to this group because you're invited. There's no
Oh,
advertising.
yes.
There's no promotion. It's almost a secret group that if you're in the know,
Well,
which makes this kind of cool, doesn't it?
the one thing that we should say at this point, though, is that if you're watching this outside of that group, then please
Come
join
join
us
us.
in that group. There's a little application process. If you're in marketing or interested in marketing or business owner, usually those things will put you in our category of awesomeness. And yeah,
Right?
so find us on Facebook.
Right. So the reason we talk about like the ability to fail or fail forward is because because the system's changed. So you will get clients coming. It's not like being a lawyer where you look up case law and that's it, and it's from 20 years ago. No, what worked yesterday might not work today. And for instance, some of the things that we're going through is Google Business Profile. We used to be able to measure different types of users seeing your profile, which were discovery users, direct users, and branding users. Now, you may think you know what they mean, but they mean different things. Anyway, they got taken away. So all our reporting just broke. Every single
Oh,
report for every
oh
client.
no.
And it's not broken so much as it just says no data. And so of
Hmm.
course we have to maneuver in that and realize, okay, is what we're doing working? Because we definitely want to know, like, we might be in marketing, but our job essentially is to bring your business, right?
Yeah.
um what is
Oh,
the
it's
ooh
the
it's
cyberpunk.
fine, let me do
Okay.
so the group name is Cyberpunk Geeks Marketing Mixer. It's a long name because Greg and I put it together and we couldn't agree. um, that's why. So we're a bunch of marketers. Everybody who's in this group and does things volunteers. So we do a live every Thursday about some marketing topic. It's put in the header of the Facebook group. We'll drop a link. Rena, let me see if I can. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know. We'll put a link somewhere, and we'll come find you. We'll get you. We'll come get you.
Yeah.
Um, but it's so besides being able to fail forward, because it's going to happen, and it's what you do after you fail. So, do
Yeah.
you implode? Yes, sometimes I do. And sometimes I have to hide. And I will tell you, the last, like, coming out of the gate this morning, it was just like, bam, 9 o'clock hit. And you're like, whoa. I am in such a joyful mood, which, when things coming at you, sometimes it's not easy. And
That is true.
you need that support system. You need, if you're going to be a marketer, you want to have a contract that's been looked at by a lawyer. You want to know what your options are, what your clients' options are. And as I said, as a marketer, our job is to bring people to your business, whether or not that's clicks from a Google ad or conversions from a Google ad, so leads, or like from social, right? Like, our job is to bring traffic and help you convert that traffic, because that's where our value is. Because without a marketer like you, now we can say, when you build it, it does not mean they come. You know, you can
Yeah.
build a website, but they might not show up. You have to do other things to get people there. It is not as simple as, I built a website, the floodgates open, I'm rich. I wish it was that simple,
Yeah.
right? And so that's why, depending on your industry, you need to find, what marketers work for you. So I know that,
Yeah.
being a Google Ads specialist, a lot of coaches don't do well. A lot of photographers don't necessarily do well with Google Ads. They do okay in organic, but so you have to find out, what are other people doing in your industry? What works for me? I need to find a marketer in that space who I can
Yeah.
trust. That's another thing. We have to, there are a lot of businesses in the past, especially like with SEO, that don't explain and take the shirt from business owners. And a lot of business owners have become really frustrated with SEO agencies because they don't understand what's happening. They don't know if people are doing work. And some businesses, some marketing companies don't actually let the owners of the business own their digital assets, like Google Analytics, Tag Manager, Search Console, all these things out of the box you own as a business owner. You should own. And if a company, and back in the day, that's what you did. back in the day, the marketing agency owned it all. But nowadays, you should be owning it all. So you also have to, look at what those agencies are doing, look at what people are doing and how they position themselves to be good marketers, right? Like in every business, there's bad and good. Um, Self-starter. That's my number three. Am I on three?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Number three. That's right. Self starter is on my list also. If you're not motivated in the morning, okay. So I had this conversation
Morning motivation.
with my Josh, with my Josh, with
My
my
Josh.
developer Josh. Poor Josh. Hopefully he's not watching this episode.
My Josh. I have a
Anyways,
my Phelan.
yeah, so Josh and his wife come from the acting. I used to work in theater, so I was telling them this story about this um, movie actor that was hired for a theatrical production in Regina when I was working there at the Globe Theater, and because there's not so much time before when you go onto an acting scene set in if you're just doing small parts, which she mostly was on film. Usually, you find these actors. They ask the directors, "What's my motivation?" Right, and it's not something that you ask a theater director because you've usually had two months of like, or at least a number of weeks of rehearsals, and you're supposed to be off book by that point, and you're supposed to have already gone through a complete character development before you even get to the point where you're rehearsing on stage. And so this woman asked that, and this whole theater, all the other actors, all the other stage people just went completely silent because it was like you could see the director's like mind starting to blow. So I was thinking that it would be hilarious to start my morning stand-up meetings with these two people asking, "What's my motivation?" Which is
Oh. So
right. So we're back to
self-starter.
what's my motivation. So you have to actually have a good motivation, and it's going to fluctuate especially if you're working on your own. It's going to fluctuate. It's not going to be consistent. For a while there, I thought, what is my problem? I can never seem to like just continually go from 9 to 5 consistently. We're human. We're not built like that. We're not machines. So the best thing that I find to do to find your motivation is make sure you've got some really good systems in place so you don't have to think about
Interesting.
things too much and get overwhelmed. And then the second part is figure out your own natural internal rhythms. If you're having a shit time, oh, am I allowed to say that on here? If you're having a difficult time doing your task, get up and have a walk. Go do your workout routine. Shift your day in a way so that you can try. Because even the other day, I took some time out. Um, I can't even remember. Oh yeah, I went for a walk in the woods in the afternoon, which is not something that I would normally do. I
That's my
came back,
favorite.
and then
My
all of a
favorite.
sudden, yeah, so I picked up my laptop, and then all of a sudden 2 hours later I realized, oh, I just got so much great work done. And that walk really helped to sort of shift me so that I could get into the right mindset to actually do the work. So know your natural rhythms,
It's
but
and
don't let try yeah, try not to let it expand too much so that you don't want to be working sort of halfway all day long for 20 hours. You want to actually have good portions of good chunks of good work, and then your other kind of life in between to keep you sane.
well, and to keep you doing good work. I mean, so yeah, those rhythms work well. Figuring out your own rhythm. Some people are night people. Some people are morning people. It's what
Yeah.
works best for you, and then you have to start to try to figure out when is your optimum time to do things. Like I have an I have a no
Oh
talking rule
yeah.
to me in the morning because I and we have a rule in this house where whatever happens in the morning, it's very forgivable because emotions are high sometimes, you're tired, somebody says the wrong thing. My mother lives with me. Did I mention that? No. um so so there's that. So you want to definitely, and with that comes being able to self-reflect. I think that's a
Mhm.
huge quality of looking at how you can do better, what you can do better, what you would change. Like these questions I
Mhm.
ask myself weekly, so journaling kind of helps. But so being a
Mhm.
preparer, being flexible,
So
being
it
able to
sounds like
fail.
you're on number 4 and I've only done 3. I've
Oh,
only done
you
2.
don't get any more.
I want one more.
Okay, one more, one more.
Because it's your segues nicely into this. So,
Ooh.
being reflective, also being uncomfortable with being comfortable with being uncomfortable. So this is something that I learned in my Yin yoga practice, is that if you can sit in discomfort for a while and be okay with that, you're gonna find that the uncomfortableness of marketing, like when you're stuck and when you're struggling and when you're trying to deal with a client, because what happens in marketing that's really unique is that clients that are having cash flow issues in their business are going to project a whole lot of emotional stuff onto their marketing team. I've seen it, not always, but I've seen it happen quite a few times where their livelihood is in jeopardy and all they want is an answer from you. And sometimes that's really hard to navigate. And so being able to sort of like keep centered, remain calm, and
Oh,
come up with solution based ideas is really important in that sort of. So instead of having people come at you and you go boom back at them, they come at you and it waves over you and does not affect your centeredness, because if it does, you're going to feel, you're going to
oh,
take that on, and it's not for you. It's not for you to
well,
take
that's
on.
the thing about taking things on. So we do, both of us, and lots of business owners. So when a business sometimes comes to us, they're in a place of stress because what
Yes.
they should have been doing 6 months ago, they want to be done in a week. And you have to be able
Sorry,
to
that's not
say,
funny.
and it's very challenging to learn how to say no, that won't work. Like
Mhm.
it is a very unique quality to be able, when somebody says, oh, I just want you to do this for a couple weeks, initially you will, you need money. If you're just starting out, you're gonna try, you
Yeah.
think it might be different, it's usually not, and eventually you do get
Yeah.
to a point. Now, you
Yes.
know, it's really interesting because, in marketing you'll be told, if you get in marketing, pick a niche, pick a niche, pick a niche, right? But then what if you're
Mhm.
starting out and you don't know who you want to work
Mhm.
with? And so I think that we sometimes, you know like being a parent, you get a lot of opinions thrown at you and a lot of different things you can do, and da 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 da. Are you gonna listen to every opinion? Hopefully not. So you have to be, this segues right into my last point, Rena, which is you have to be inquisitive. You
And discerning, because
oh
discerning when you want to actually do the work to figure out who the people are that you're working with before you work with them. Because for example, um, I had somebody that I worked with who asked me to change asked me to change line items on my invoice. I didn't do it. I wasn't interested in working with them in that way. And but they came to me a couple years later to ask for another piece of work that sounded really great, and it's just been a problem. They're not working in the same value space that I'm working in. So now what I'm finding is that we're just coming to heads. Like I'm not comfortable working in the ways that they want me to work. So it's good fit is really, really important, and being discerning with what you're doing. And again, yeah, Pip, you're absolutely right. I took on so many clients when I first started out that, you know, I just need to get my business going. And then after that, you learn, you you learn more about where you're most comfortable, what things you want to be doing, who you
who
want to be
your
working
people
with.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, who your people are. And that's going to become more important to your stress level, is if you can get more closely into that. However, I do want to say, when it comes to niching, everybody's heard me say this a million times, don't niche down too much, because you won't be recession proof. So every I know I was pressured into niching a lot. I run an agency style, so what I do is I niche my products and my services, and not my industries necessarily,
Yeah.
so that I have a wide range of people across a lot of industries. Because one of my pals who niched down to only two industries, and both of those industries were hit hard in COVID, and he lost 40% of his business, which was a huge amount for him. So it's you don't want
Restaurant
to ever get
marketer.
into that.
Restaurant
That's
marketers
right.
lost their
So
shirt.
that's what he did. So he did restaurants and real estate, and what were the two?
Oh,
You know what
interesting,
I
because
mean?
real
And it's
estate
like,
did do
oh
well.
no,
So
pardon?
that's a really good point, actually. So paying attention to the market, as weird as it sounds, when we're in the Facebook
Yes.
group, oftentimes politics and marketing, actually, you would be surprised how we
Oh
hear
yes.
layoffs. It does, like, I have a Google rep or two that I work with, and you know I went to a meeting, and this guy was saying, I'm so lucky I got to keep my job. And I'm sitting there on the phone with him. And so he's going through a company that's getting layoffs, and they're not telling people who or what or when or where. And he's still trying to do his job. So he's being affected, right? And then I can be affected, which is like every other job, right? But I don't there's so many good skills that you get out of being a marketer. Like, the
Yeah.
skill I'm learning, and I think every year as you grow, you learn a little more. So right now, you know
Yeah.
what I'm learning? I'm learning
Yeah.
how to have hard conversations with people I
Yeah.
care about, which is, we can only work with a certain number of people because our time is not, infinite. And so we're making the hard decisions on, we're raising prices, and if you can't fit into that, then we can't work with you. And that's not because we don't want to, it's because we can't afford to. So that's why we'll be doing a lot of free stuff, actually. But that being said, we're also going to be doing lots of under the hood stuff for clients. And so resilience, I think the key is being resilient. A marketer is resilient and inquisitive. Yeah, so marketers, resilient, inquisitive, and they have a support system, and they're able to manage failure, and troubleshoot, and be a self-starter. I think that's all we got. That's it. It's over. What do you think, Rena? Did we miss anything at all? What do you guys think?
I don't remember. I had all of the words. I don't remember if my words ended up in that list, but that is okay.
Selena found us. Selena, yay! We'll see you in the group. So glad you're joining us. If you don't know about the group, Cyberpunk Geeks Marketing Mixer, join us over there. We're also streaming on YouTube, our Facebook business pages. I think Rena's on LinkedIn right now. So we're around. And next week's topic,
Yeah.
Rena, do you know? Do you know? Bye, guys.
I think it's isn't it our monthly roundup next week?
It is. So next week
Right on.
we take all the marketing news, we bring it into one swift 30 minutes of fun, and that's what we're doing next Thursday. So we'll see you there. Here.
All right. Have
All
a
right.
great week.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.